them, but that doesn't matter. It's impressive just in terms of distribution, the vast distribution of it. So regardless of doing that, though, and appearing on all these different sites, I've got to say, YouTube's the bomb. Even with all those other sites out there, if we're talking about my big three, and again, that was list building and lead generation and search engine optimization and getting your video the chance to go viral, for those reasons, you definitely want to put most of your attention on YouTube because it's got the vast majority of the market. It really is the definitive place for getting your videos published. Now, in terms of these big three here, you definitely want to make sure that you're paying more attention to and going into the community and networking and socializing within YouTube. And I'm going to tell you why. According to ComScore, and they are a leader in measuring the digital world, in May of 2008, just that 1 month alone, U.S. Internet users viewed more than 12 billion online videos during the month. And by the way, this represented a 45% increase versus a year ago. Now, mind you, here we're just talking about the U.S. again, so if you think about it, expand this out into a global arena, the numbers are going to be astronomical. So as we take a look at this chart, it tells us here that in May of 2008, Google sites, right here, ranked as the top U.S. video property with 4.2 billion videos viewed. And that shows us that was a 35% share of all videos viewed across the Internet. And as I mentioned before, YouTube is a Google property. So what doesn't show here on the slide that they said in the study was that of all the Google video sites, YouTube accounted for 98% of all the videos viewed among these Google properties. So 98% of this 35% of this 4.2 billion was just on YouTube alone. Additionally, in this next chart, this is also from ComScore, we see that the data indicates that totally across the Internet, 142 million Americans watched an average of 85 online videos per viewer in that month. And again, this is May 2008. Of those, once again, Google sites attracted the most viewers with 83.8 million viewers, and they watched, on average, 50 videos per person. And it's really interesting, I think, to look at these lagging, the guys coming in second and third place. Fox with only 12.8 videos per person. Yahoo sites only 8.6. I mean, that just drops off tremendously. And I think that these average video per viewer numbers are really important because what they're telling us is that people coming on to YouTube, and again, that's 98% of this number, they're sticking around to consume more content. And YouTube has many features that enable you to kind of grab those eyes, your target audience, that are sticking around, and that's more of what we're going to get into in a minute. But taking those two slides together, what that was telling us was that there were 83.8 million U.S. Internet viewers who watched over 4.1 billion videos on YouTube alone, in May of 2008. And think about it, that's springtime, too. I imagine those numbers have gone up tremendously even since May and will continue to all winter. So you see what I mean when I say that it's the place to be and the place to focus most of your attention on. To address those of you who may look at this and say, yeah, but, you know, I've heard it's big. I know YouTube's a big spot to be. But from what I hear, it's made up of mostly kids and teenagers. Well, for those of you that think that, let me show you this. This is a breakdown of YouTube U.S. demographics. And as you see here, it's split by gender evenly, 53% male, 47% female. The median age, now note this is the median. We're not looking at 16 and 21. This means that we've got just as many users above 33 as we've got below 33. Evenly distributed across the U.S., up here we see that 64% of YouTube visitors say that they're tech savvy, 47% are married, 69% are at least college educated, if not graduate school, 71% employed, and check out this median income. If you want to tell me that it's just a bunch of kids playing around on YouTube, that's a pretty impressive median income there for me. So if anything, these numbers, if you were thinking that before about YouTube and shying away for those reasons, I would hope this would change your mind into thinking that YouTube is mainstream and it's where you want to be. Other notable findings for May of 2008, we've done that 74% of the total U.S. Internet audience viewed online videos in May of 2008. the average online viewer watched 3.8 hours or 228 minutes of video that month, and the duration of the average online video was just 2.7 minutes. And I think that that is also something important to note here. Look, attention spans are pretty short these days. And so keep that in mind when you're putting your video content together and putting it out there. On YouTube, you can actually break it down into different sections. So if you have a 10-minute video, you might even think of breaking that in half, because people are going to be much more likely and willing to watch a 5-minute video than to sit through 10 minutes. So that's just something, and we'll talk more about that. I've actually got some numbers on that a bit later on in the presentation.
Julie, let me jump in for a second here. This is good. This is vital, because the format for web video right now, you know, we hear a lot about Hulu, and we hear a lot about stations streaming television shows and that kind of stuff. The fact of the matter is, the media of YouTube and the language of YouTube and the language of these online video sites is short and quick and snappy and, you know, in and out very quickly type of thing. This is important. And I want everybody to just, you know, it's not just video. It's video that makes sense to the organization that you're presenting it to. And in this particular case, yes, they watched 3.8 hours, but that's, you know, divided into, at the very most, 3-minute chunks. So as you plan your strategy here, realize that. I mean, we would never attempt to, you know, earlier in this, I showed that Google speech, you know, that is an anomaly. I mean, over an hour is, you know, it was funny when I signed the forms at Google to release this, and you know, I told them, well, wait a minute, how can you put this whole thing online? You can only do it 10 minutes at a time. And they looked at me and said, well, Paul, we own YouTube. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. And you know, so if you look at the real numbers of what's happening online, you know, it's not the 1 hour and 15-minute presentations that's a good idea. It's not the 45-minute presentations that's a good idea. It's these 2.7-minute presentations. Just something to think about.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so yeah, so then the big question is, so how do you get your video content noticed? I mean, obviously with all that video content out there on YouTube, it's information overload right now, and you're really going to be vying to get attention with all these videos that are out there. So how do you get your videos noticed? Well, you produce good content.
That's easy.
Yeah, certainly no substitute for that. And there you go. Well, and I say this, though, because when I first got the idea to try and teach people some of the tricks and things that I came up with when I was playing around on YouTube, I searched around to see what other information was out there on how to get more views. And everything that I was finding was content people had created to teach you how to present your content. So, in other words, things outlining video styles and genres and giving advice on how to plan your video content. And I thought, well, yeah, okay, that's kind of the obvious stuff. You can look around on any given day and see what videos are popular and get an idea of what you can do to attract attention. So, you know, just a couple ideas there on what makes a video go viral. Obviously, funny is going to take the #1 spot. Things that are strange or shocking, inspirational, fascinating or compelling, instructional and how-to videos. Now, those do really well, and that's something else to keep in mind. If you just want to show people how to use something, whether it's an internet marketing thing or maybe you know how to do sewing or, you know, to create a how-to video, those are really getting a lot of views across all the video channels. And obviously things that are gross, sexy, or risque are getting a lot of views. But no matter how valuable your content's going to be or how hilarious, shocking, or inspirational, whatever any of these things are, in order for people to even have a chance to find your video content in the first place, you need to get your videos optimized and indexed first so that you can grab those eyes. Because otherwise, you're not going to have any views for people to even notice that video content is great. So how do you drive that traffic? What are some of the guerrilla marketing techniques to get those initial views on your YouTube videos in the first place? Those are the strategies that we're going to cover here. Now, I'm trusting you guys to plan and produce the great content. So once you've done that, what we're going to focus on is how to attract those targeted niche audiences to your YouTube videos and then ultimately drive them over to your other online content. So some realistic expectations that you need to make sure that you have. Now, I just came across this last night, actually, as I was searching around for some other things. The source down here is websitemagazine.com, and this was from a session called Optimizing for YouTube that was presented at the New York Universal Search Session. These are from the notes of that event. and you can find it online here at Website Magazine. And some of the things that they noticed in their study, 70% of videos get at least 20 views. And then when you look down here, you start to see that as fewer than 20% of the videos are getting more than 500 views, 3% of the videos get more than 25,000 views, and only 1% of the videos up on YouTube are getting more than 500,000 views. So again, you really need to come at this with some realistic expectations in terms of, okay, no, I'm not necessarily telling you that I can tell you how to get 1 million views on YouTube. I could, but the things I'd be teaching you to do would be pretty black hat and could very well get you booted off YouTube. So these are just some things to keep in mind as we go into this. So I'm not sure who all we have on the call, and Paul and I are actually looking at maybe even turning this into a product. So let me address this quickly because I know that's been a lot of background information and introduction information. And people on the call may be all the way from beginner to advanced users with YouTube. So let's quickly look at my outline here of what we're about to cover. And one thing I really want you to take note of is we've covered these two. Now we're about to jump into talking about your YouTube channel, and we'll actually then be moving down to what I start classifying here as my stealth tip, my super stealth tip, and my super duper stealth tip when we get into talking about the YouTube algorithm. I've searched around, like I said last night, I was even still searching and trying to find what other people are saying out there about this subject of getting more views on YouTube. And some of these, I'm not seeing anybody talking about some of the things that I figured out with the YouTube algorithm. So if you're an advanced user, definitely stick around because we're really going to get into some advanced stuff with things that you can be doing. So that's just kind of a look ahead of where we're going here. First of all,
Julie, let me jump in for a second. Sorry to interrupt here, but I want to kind of bring everybody kind of up to speed and just make sure that you're consuming this stuff with the right mindset. YouTube is more than the capacity to not pay for video hosting. Okay? YouTube is a major online player, millions of visitors, tremendous search engine visibility, tremendous viral integration built into it, and you're going to see a lot more of this. It is another play online that is getting more and more important just based on the demographic of who we are as people. I mean, you know, who wants to read a 5-page email when you can see a 10, 15-second video accordingly? So with that knowledge in hand, we look at the numbers of YouTube versus everybody else, and YouTube is the 800-pound gorilla. So now, as we look at playing with this concept, how do we optimize? Because the funny thing is, you know, I see people who spend, 18 hours getting a video produced and then, 5 minutes getting the thing on YouTube. Once it's done, your goal now is to get it in front of as many, and again, this is so important, targeted viewers. You know, I've seen some of these systems to get a lot of friends and a lot of views and whatnot. You know, it doesn't matter if 8,000 people who don't care about Paul Colligan view a video about Paul Colligan. It doesn't matter at all. So the question is how do we find the audience that we're looking for, get them to view our YouTube content at youtube.com, on somebody else's site, on their iPhone, on their television set? You know, it doesn't matter where. How do we get them to consume that stuff? And with that said and done, I'll just go back to you, Julie.
Okay, to get started, we will kick it off with your YouTube channel. So the first thing you need to do, if you haven't already, is to create your channel. And this is easy to do because it's automatically created for you when you set up your account. This is basically your profile, your home base. And once you've done that, then you'll be on your way to becoming a video creator or opinion maker rather than just another site user. Because even if you aren't producing video yet, and I emphasize yet, because we want everyone to eventually be doing that, but by setting up your channel and starting to get it optimized, this is going to allow you to begin building a reputation and creating a foundation for attracting new potential customers or prospects. Because as far as YouTube goes, remember, it is a social community, and just interacting with and aggregating other people's content can ultimately get you traffic back to your own main website. I've got a personal channel that I don't really ever do much with, and I was just looking at it the other day. I think it's up to like 800 channel views, and that's just from me going out and commenting on other people's things and occasionally, putting a link up saying that this is my YouTube channel, but I'm not doing anything with it. I haven't even uploaded any content, but I'll show you kind of how I've gone about aggregating content there on the site, and I haven't even put any effort into it. This was all just by luck. And I've actually had people subscribe to my favorites on YouTube just because they said, hey, I like what this girl's finding. I'm going to subscribe to her favorites because then I don't have to go out there and look to see what's cool and new in this particular subject area. I can just go and check out what she's looking at. So that's something to definitely keep in mind if you don't have content to start putting up yet. Get your channel up there. Because one of the things that we're going to talk about here is how to raise what I call your profile authority. And basically this means optimizing your channel. So if you're already uploading content, then you probably figured out by now that a well-developed profile is going to help you out tremendously. I like to kind of relate it to the idea of page rank. Some other things that we're going to cover here are ways to organize your channel and get your videos set up, and also creating niche-targeted playlists, which is another really important thing to do, especially if you don't have your own video content up yet, and I'll show you how I did that on my own channel. Other things that you should do on your channel will cover, like setting up the vlog, displaying comments and ratings, and active sharing. Now, the first thing you want to do once you set up your account is to target your intended audience by choosing an account type. And if you already have a YouTube account, you can always go in under Edit Channel and Account Type and change this. And this shows you here, these are the options that you're given. And a lot of people say, you know, why would you want to do that? Does it really even matter? Well, while one of the options, you'll see this is the basic option, is just to be a YouTube user, it really makes more sense to choose from one of the other categories because each of the specialized account types offer different customization options. So if your channel type is switched to be anything other than a YouTube user, you'll be given additional options, which I'll go over here in a second, of things like adding external URLs, event dates, performer information. But more importantly, when it comes to earning awards for things like, see here, this is Howcast, they call themselves, channel, and they are listed here in the awards for the day for the 43rd most subscribed to channel of all time, and then also the 10th most today and under Gurus. And that's what they've done. They've narrowed their competition, really, by choosing that they were going to be listed under the Guru category. So by choosing an account type, you not only get the customization features, but it's far easier to rise to the top of the pile within a particular category than it is to make the front page of the website. So in the process, you're going to help your potential viewers to narrow down their search as well. All of this, of course, leading to more profile views and more video views. So as far as the various customization features that are offered with the account types, I'm going to quickly go over these. Under Director, YouTube tells you even in their help section that one of the cool, nifty things that you get is this special link, they call it. Well, it's not really a special link. In fact, it's really kind of absurd that they give you just this little spot down here, but that's what they mean. Otherwise, it's much like a lot of the other options, that you get a section where you get to fill out performer information. But when they say special link, don't think that it's any big hoopla. But directors do fare a lot better than just being a general YouTube user, so Director is a cool one to select. Musician and comedian, they're very much the same, and we may have those types of people on this call or buying the product, that you get to customize the performer information on the channel, but you also get to display your upcoming dates for maybe you're performing or doing comedy. And another really cool thing, that when you are set as a musician or a comedian, you get this really cool link here where you can put a buy link to where your CD is sold. And this can link to anywhere. You have to have the cover art image hosted offline on another site and put that link in. But then you can enter in, an Amazon.com link, an iTunes link, maybe even going back to your own website where they can buy direct and pay you via PayPal. That's another really cool thing that is offered for just the musician and the comedian category, as well as then putting any tour dates and things that they've got to put on there. The next one would be Guru and Reporter, and they really don't have anything much different than Director, to be honest, other than they do narrow down the style that you get to choose from. So you'll see in a minute why that might make a difference. But what we're going to focus on is raising your profile authority. And the rule number one to optimize your channel is to make your profile look natural and build it out before you even start participating. The big key here, consistency and keeping an active profile is going to help you not only build your reputation in the community, but it's going to help your videos to do better. The active members that are on there with the most subscribers that are constantly putting up video content, they're the ones that you find are getting featured on YouTube's main site or getting a lot more traffic for the videos they are putting out there.
Interesting.
People coming to check out your channel, whether they got there by viewing one of your videos or just saw you commenting on one of their own, they want to see that you're participating. So the idea here is that on your own channel, you can show them, hey, look how active and involved I am in my niche content area. Because again, remember, I can't say it enough, YouTube is a social network. You should treat it just like you do sitting around all day trying to get new friends on Facebook. I think you'll find that some of the friends and people that you can network with and meet via YouTube will become even far more valuable to you because you're communicating with video in many cases. Now, as far as the profile goes that you'll have there on your channel, I think everyone should fill out that information and be as complete as possible. Say things that relate back to your niche. Just really what you want to do is become an authority on your niche, and you can do that almost by writing a mini sales letter right here on your channel. And here's some examples here. This one's from the Boaters TV. This is where we talked about the Boaters TV blog that people could go to, and also mention, hey, by the way, it's downloadable over at iTunes. Here's another example is Brad Fallon's site. I help Brad on occasion with getting more views and more traffic to his videos. He's got a podcast that he does daily called Freeline Report, and it focuses on Web 2.0 news and other sorts of internet marketing-related topics. And here's Brad's channel, and you'll see there's two spots that I'll show you in a second when I switch over to the web where you can fill out performer information and you can fill out channel information. These guys are able to hyperlink right up here because this is their channel description. And YouTube already gives you this spot down here where you can link to here on Freeline Report, and here's the freelinereport.com and the boaters.tv. You can also get it right up here on top because think about it, this is getting your URL above the fold. So when people come to your channel, this is really long here. So Brad's freelinereport.com wouldn't show up until under the fold. But getting it up here in the channel description is what you want to do to get your URL there. So write your mini sales page there. And something else to think about in terms of raising your profile authority, what I was just talking to. Note that when people come over to your channel, they're going to look right up here at how many videos have you watched, how many subscribers do you have, how many channel views. These are things that people are going to pay attention to. For those of you on Twitter, you kind of know how annoying it is that people come on there and everything's just one-way communication. They're just there to update you on what they're doing, to put their links out there. Hey, I updated my blog. Hey, I updated my blog. And that becomes really frustrating because what people are looking for is an interaction and to know that the person there on the other end is actually out there consuming and taking part in and interacting with other people in the community. So you really want to start participating because people, when they come, are going to look at that. How many channel views, how many videos have you uploaded is another thing. And what I just talked about earlier with if you have content that's really long, try breaking it up into sections so that at least it shows that you've got 4 videos up. That is a little more impressive to people when you have more than just one video that's already sitting there. Now, another big thing is how many friends and subscribers do you have on your channel? And have you subscribed to anyone else? People are going to look at these things before they make a judgment of whether to go over to your website or to maybe even subscribe to your content. They'll look at how many videos you've favorited. They'll be interested to know what those videos are. And this is so what we're doing here by telling you to do this. Go subscribe to some channels, favorite some videos, comment on some videos, and this is all going to be helping you to start the socialization process.
Hey, Julie, I want to... I want to jump in a minute here because I'm seeing a trend that I really want to chat for a second about because it's really, really interesting here. You know, a lot of us look at YouTube and we think to ourselves, okay, we've got ourselves a platform here for distributing video. I can put up video, Google pays for it, they bring billions and billions of users, and now I can give some marketing information about myself. And we tend to view YouTube as almost a free TV type of platform or a web video distribution. But what you're showing here that I think is so interesting is that YouTube is also, almost for lack of a better term, a social network. And what's happening is people aren't just watching your videos, they're commenting on your videos, something that cannot be done in regular television. They are subscribing to your videos, something that cannot be done in regular television. They're clicking buttons to find out more about the person who produces the videos, things that can't be done in regular television. And then they're even sharing their preferences and what they like with other people inside. Again, things that cannot be done in regular television. So as you examine your YouTube strategy, it's not so much, how do you make your video look good and, how do you have the prettiest looking page? But now it's becoming an issue of how do I leverage all of these opportunities together? Now, the cool thing is with YouTube as a 800-pound gorilla, such a significant percentage of what's going on, you can leverage something like a Tube Mogul or a Traffic Geyser to get your videos out everywhere. But then you're going to have to spend some time inside of YouTube to really leverage what it is that you've got and really, take control of what it is they're offering you, the producer. Is that a good sort of summary so far? Because I don't think a lot of people view YouTube that way.
Right. Well, and it really wasn't that way initially. I know when I first joined several years ago, they didn't really have a lot of these social networking features involved. And over time, it's really grown into that. And now, yes, a lot of people really are treating it like their own MySpace or their own Facebook. They're coming on there and they're socializing just as much as they are consuming content.
So YouTube is not just a strategy of video, it's a strategy of social networking, the Web 2.0 mindset, and these types of things.
Right, and so you really can combine both. That's what I mean. You're distributing your videos all over on all these other channels, great, but make sure you come back to YouTube and spend some time here. If you're going to be spending time on Facebook and MySpace and these other Web 2.0 social networking sites, you might as well concentrate a lot of time on YouTube, because look back at those numbers I was just showing you. A good portion of people that are on the internet each day are spending a lot of their time here on YouTube.
No, good stuff, good stuff. Thanks. Keep going. This is good.
Yeah. Let's switch over to the web finally. And we're going to start out here. This is Brad Fallon's channel. And as I said a minute ago, Brad does his daily podcast, Freeline Report, and that is Web 2.0 News. And we want to click on Edit Channel. I'm going to show you a few things here that you want to make sure that you do. Here's that section I talked about, describing the description of your channel. This is where, if you put it in as HTTP:// it will show up hyperlink above the fold on your channel. Another thing I want to make sure and note is that you are tagging your channel. That's also going to be very important. So we've got some tags here for Brad. And you also, I think, definitely want to allow comments to be displayed on your channel, that everyone can comment. And now, when people display comments on your channel, a lot of times you'll get a lot of spam. You can always go in and delete those comments. But what it's talking about is, and let's see if here on, got another right up here. Let's see if they've got comments coming in. This is Stompernet. Yes, here we go. Channel comments. This is people that are coming by to make comments on the Stompernet site, and it ends up looking really good. It just gives your fans a place to do that. If you get spam, like I said, you can always delete it. So that's where you make that decision if you're going to display those or not. And here, again, is where we changed. I just showed you that on the PowerPoint. This is where you can change the account type. Brad's actually down there as a guru. It doesn't hurt. Check this. It wasn't checked before. Let others find my channel if they have my email address. It doesn't really hurt to do that. So come down. And actually, before I do channel design, I want to show personal profile.
Hi, this is Julie jumping in on December the 29th to alert you to the fact that there has been a small change on YouTube with regard to editing the personal profile on your YouTube channel. So I am sneaking in here to add this addendum to the product. So to show you the changes that have been made, I'm going to come over here to Brad's channel. Right away you see the widescreen player, so we know I'm dating myself. This is late December, but I'm going to click on Edit Channel. And now we are sitting exactly where we were where the webinar just left off. I had covered the channel info and how to edit that. Nothing has changed there. That's all still the same, as is channel design, organizing videos, and performer info. What is now missing from this left-hand side menu bar is the ability to click on the tab to edit personal profile. That again is all of the personal information that appears on your channel. To get to that point now, what you have to do is go over to this menu bar across the top, click on Account, From there, you'll look at the menu on the left and go to Profile Setup. Under Profile Setup, here's where you're going to find all of the information that when I resume where we just left off on the webinar, I'm about to go into how to change the picture for your channel, how to describe yourself, how to put your website URL in there. Also, if I click on personal details, things such as first name, last name, and then on down. So that is where you find that now, under account at the top and then then profile setup on the left-hand side.
Now you have two options here to create a profile picture. You can either display the last video you uploaded, a thumbnail of that, or you can select an image that you upload. And you can look at this two ways. I actually recommend that you set it to a profile picture. It's really cool when the video still is what's showing. If you're producing a lot of content, though, that's going to change on a daily basis. The idea here is that YouTube is so vast and there's so many channels, and you really want to sort of brand yourself with the picture that comes up on your channel. So if someone subscribes and they get that email I showed you earlier, you would like for that picture maybe to be kind of consistent. So think in terms of branding here, that on occasion it might be nice to switch it up, maybe the way that you do with a Facebook profile or a MySpace page. On occasion when you switch those photos, people come by because suddenly they notice you. They're not used to seeing that picture. That's something you can do, but I would say, choose an actual image rather than just to rely on a video still that YouTube randomly selects for you. Another tip here that I want to note is that in entering your name, if you just put Brad and then Fallon in the last name, you're just going to show up on your channel as Brad. So if you want your last name to show up, you actually have to write it like I'm showing here, Brad Fallon. And we do that for Brad because he's an SEO expert. He's one of the owners of Stomper.net. He's got the Free Line Report. Brad Fallon, his name is a brand. So we really wanted to make sure that was shown there on his profile. Now, the About Me section, when you fill this out, just so you know, it is going to look identical to performer information. So if you're set as anything other than a basic YouTube user, you'll be able to fill out performer information. Anything that I put here is actually going to override anything that I write in the About Me section on that personal profile I was just looking at. So just bear that in mind. I actually just copied them and made them the same. One thing under performer info that you'll want to do, when I talked earlier about narrowing the field of categories that you're involved with so that you can actually rank as maybe the most viewed of that day in that category, style is the second thing that you get to pick. So if you're a guru, here are your choices. If you were under musician, it would give you types of music, genres of music. Comedian, same thing. Director, it's a far different set of topics here to subcategorize yourself. So with Brad, we're selected as educational. All that you'll find under performer information. Now, let me move on to channel design. This is where there's just a couple features that I want to make sure that everyone's using. For people that have been on YouTube for a while, they may be going, okay, we know all this. But two really important things that I think these are features that you want to make sure that you are using. One are the playlists. And the thing that I love about having a personal channel with no videos is that because I had the Boaters TV channel, which was a separate channel, it was YouTube/the Boaters TV, I was actually able to go in and create a playlist using those videos of my former episodes, and now I have that right here, and I could just feature one major video here. So creating a niche-targeted playlist, there's really, I think, two main advantages here. You can gather these individual clips that are your own, let's say, like Stomper.net has done. If we come over here, Stomper.net has 19 total videos, but they have 9 alone that pertain to this topic of Going Natural 2.0. So what they decided to do was just to group that series together in a playlist, and that kind of takes the burden off of your audience in terms of having to go out and search and navigate around and really work hard to try to find your videos. You can put them all together there for them. Another great thing is that once you have a playlist created, you can oftentimes, I know on Facebook, they have a feature that allows you to submit your playlist to a Facebook page. So I was able on my Facebook page to actually take that entire playlist and put that in so that anyone coming over to my page couldn't just see one YouTube video that I had. They could watch an entire series of YouTube videos that I had that were all related. And then the other thing with Brad, he's got all these videos that people have created about him, and he doesn't display them on his page, and I should make note of that if you are using a playlist, it's always going to appear right in this area here above your own videos. So if you don't want that to be distracting, and because Brad's doing a daily episode, he wants to make sure that people are always seeing his newest content and going after that. So we don't have his playlist appear on his page. But it does appear up here in this tab section. And Brad has so many videos that other people have created about him. So these top 3 here you see are all from Joel Comm's Internet Millionaire show when Brad presented, and then he's got a time when he spoke at Eben Tegan's event. We've got the StomperNet video. So in other words, he was kind of able to pull together other people's content, which playlists allow you to do. It's not just your own content that you can pull together. So that's going back.
You know what's
to
interesting here, Julie? I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm just kind of thinking out loud here. You know, if I put a video online, even if it is, you know, has thousands of views, that's a single moment in